Please welcome to the show, Caitlin Clark. Caitlin, did you ever
What's
think
up,
you'd
guys?
be back? Cheers.
Excited to be
Cheers.
back. Don't worry. I got this nice throwback theater can.
Well played.
Caitlin Clark just shocked everyone in a live Zoom interview with WNBA legends Sue Bird and Diana Taurasi. Right from the start, it was clear this wasn't your typical feel-good segment. It was raw, real, and pulled back the curtain on everything, from her transition to the WNBA, to locker room rumors, and the truth behind those intense college matchups. All of it delivered with Caitlin's signature humor and charm.
Product placement.
There we
Well
go.
played, our show loves it. Our show loves it.
So what did Caitlin actually say that has everyone buzzing? She kept it real, talking about Paige Buchers, responding to Diana Taurasi, and even pushing back against the false claims Cheryl Swoops made about her and the fever. It all goes back to that viral moment last year when Taurasi looked into the camera and warned Caitlin, reality is coming. Now, Caitlin's firing back with confidence and clarity. Let's break it down.
What will the league have in store for them when they get there?
Look, SVP, reality is coming.
Okay.
There's levels to this thing, and that's just life. We all went through it.
Of course.
And you see it on the NBA side, and you're going to see it on this side, where, you look superhuman playing against 18-year-olds, but you're going to come with some grown women that have been playing professional basketball for a long time.
Fast forward to this year, and let's just say Deanna had to walk back some of her earlier comments. Caitlin's response. Just a smirk, a quick nod, and that signature confident smile. The vibe in the room was light and playful, but underneath it all, it was clear. She wasn't just answering questions. She was making a statement.
Congrats on your retirement, D.
Thank you.
And congrats
Now-
to you.
Unfortunately,
Well,
reality is
thanks.
coming to me now.
What's your big plans?
it in early.
What are you going to do?
I keep telling Sue I thought I was going to have all this time to do all these things. I'm more busy now. So if I give you any advice, play as long as possible.
We'll see. We'll get to 10 years. Then we'll think about it.
It's 10 years.
For Diana Taurasi, going head-to-head with Caitlin Clark wasn't just another game. It was a moment that marked a shift in the sport. Thinking back on their first matchup in Phoenix, Taurasi described the atmosphere as electric, like something historic was unfolding. It felt like the last game ever was about to be played, she said. The energy wasn't just about a win or loss. It was about witnessing a new era begin. Taurasi spoke with real respect, calling it surreal to finally share the court with players she'd been watching light up college basketball for years.
What was it like for you two to play against each other?
It was amazing. I've been following Caitlin for so long and been watching her college career just in awe. And to be on the court and, the first game was in Phoenix, and it felt like the last game that was ever going to be played. There was such anticipation. The crowd was going crazy. All the people that came out to see Caitlin and our teams play against each other. It really was an amazing moment. And you talked about how, if you could play against anyone that is this new generation. So I got to cross paths with Caitlin, at least for a couple games. And to me, that meant a lot, Like, we've been doing this for a long time, and to see Caitlin do what she does is, I think someone said the other day, I'm like, I want the season to start so I can watch you again.
Caitlin's response was classy, but she didn't hold back. She remembered that game against Phoenix too, and this time, it meant something personal. We were down like 10 or 15 and came all the way back and won, she said, pride clear in her voice. That comeback wasn't just another win, it was a turning point. Going up against a legend like Diana Taurasi and walking away with the win. That's the kind of moment that builds belief. And Caitlin wasn't about
What it was like to play against D.
Well, I was saying, that game in Phoenix, because we only played in Phoenix one time. And it was before Olympic break. Obviously, we had All-Star there too, but it was a great game. Honestly, I'm pretty sure we were down like 10 or 15 and came all the way back and won. That was like our first win versus a team that was above 500. So thank you. I appreciate that.
But beneath all the competitive energy, there was real respect. That moment became more than just a game. It felt like a passing of the torch. Caitlin and Diana might be at opposite points in their careers, but the impact they've made is undeniable. As they laughed and shared a moment on the court, it was clear this wasn't just banter. It was the past and future of basketball coming together in perfect sync.
Caitlin, how excited are you for this next WNBA season? New head coach and Stephanie White. You added Natasha Howard, who Sue knows really well, DeWanna Bonner, which I know really well, Sophie Cunningham. I mean, it seems like, you know, from the outside, this roster's ready to compete now, which is easy for us to say. We know there's a process to get there, but like when you see that and you see those names come in, what does that make you feel like?
Caitlin Clark heads into the new WNBA season with more than hype. She's got real help. She's pumped about the roster, new coach Stephanie White, vets like Natasha Howard and DeWanna Bonner, shooters like Sophie Cunningham, and defenders like Sydney Colson and Brianna Turner. She knows what they bring and what it'll take. With 7 new faces and limited time to gel, it's a challenge. But Clark's already in problem-solving mode, and she's ready for it.
Oh, well, I mean, obviously on paper we have a really good team, but, you know, you only have, I mean, we start training camp, I think, on the 27th, and then, like, we have a back-to-back of preseason games on May 3rd and May 4th. So it's like, you have a very short amount of time to put that together, and 7 new pieces, and whether we carry 11 or 12, like, more than half of our roster, like, that's, you know, that's a hard thing within itself, but we should be pretty good. And like, I'm excited about it. I think what we needed was, you know, we added a lot more experience. Like in the playoffs, we just didn't have that. We were a young group. Even Kels, like obviously with being with the Fever during her entire career, she hasn't really had the opportunity to play in a ton of playoff games. So having that, whether it's Sydney Colson, whether it's DB, whether it's Natasha Howard, whoever it is, I think having that experience is going to be really good for us and that leadership in the locker room. So I'm excited.
It's not just her mental game Caitlin's been working on. Her physical game is on point too. When asked about that viral off-season photo where her arms looked noticeably stronger, Caitlin couldn't help but laugh.
And there was the viral picture that went around showing off your guns. Everyone's wondering, have you been hitting the weight room? Was it the camera angle? What happened?
Like, how did you do that? I've been trying to do that for 20 years.
AI is getting out of control. Come on.
Then came the truth. Caitlin admitted she spent a lot of time in the weight room, not just to look stronger, but to feel more dominant on the court. She pointed out specific areas she's focused on, adding a floater, finishing through contact, and owning the mid-range. It's clear she's not just training to maintain, she's training to dominate.
What are you doing in the off-season working on your game?
You're trying to get stronger, like a lot of time in the weight room, and it's like something like I kind of enjoy, so it's been pretty easy for me to like spend time in there and really work on that part of my game. And you know, I think the biggest thing on the court is just like that mid-range area. Like I got pretty uncomfortable in there when I would get in there, whether that's like I didn't really have any floater, I didn't like taking a mid-range jump shot, so just getting more comfortable like when I get my feet kind of into the paint, and honestly trying to just add a floater to my game, and you know, finishing through contact and little things like that. But I think just going back to the weapons that we've added this year, like there's going to be so many different things that we're able to do that I think it'll be able to make my life a little bit easier, and it should make everybody's life a little bit easier on our team.
That level of self-awareness is impressive, especially for someone so early in their pro career. But Caitlin is already carrying herself like a seasoned vet. I kind of enjoy it, she said, referring to the grind, the physical preparation, and the leadership challenges that come with a star-studded roster. She knows the expectations are high, but she's ready to meet them head-on. And remember when Cheryl Swoops called the Indiana Fever locker room toxic.
People in the Fever were like, y'all.
That's not my point. There's a lot of other shit going on that players are like, this ain't where I want to be.
Over there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Some new shit
like
going
it's
on
a lot.
Around there.
It's a lot. Yeah. So you have players that are very significant on this Indiana Fever team that are like, I don't want to be here. This is where I want to be.
Yeah.
Well, Caitlin Clark finally addressed that head-on.
That whole week was like, Indiana, they don't get along, you know, all this. And I'm like, great. And then I'm like, this is the most together team I've ever seen.
Is that one of the hardest things for you as a pro now? Just seeing all the narratives like that one, that your team didn't get along, and just having to literally ignore it, deal with it, even though you know it's not true?
She confirmed what we all knew all along. What Swoops said simply wasn't true.
It's something you kind of just become used to. It's like people think they know what's going on inside of your locker room, and they just don't. At the end of the day, it's just, you know, the girls that you have in there, and then obviously your coaching staff, and that's all that matters. And honestly, like, the best thing about last year is like we honestly had so much fun together. Yeah, we lost our first 8 games or whatever, but like we wouldn't have won if we didn't have a tight knit circle or a good locker room. And that's the reason we kind of turned everything around, is just we like needed some time. We were a young group and, you know, we figured it out. But yeah, it was really fun, honestly.
Caitlin Clark knows what it's like to battle against UConn, and she remembers every moment. We played them 3 times, she recalled, mentioning matchups from the Phil Knight tournament to the Sweet 16, and finally, the Final Four. Each time was a challenge, and each time, Gino Auriemma's team came prepared. They always had the best scouts against me, she said. You could tell how smart he is.
So when you play against a Coach Auriemma coached team, what kind of beast is that?
Well, I think they just are so disciplined. Like, that's just, they're going to do what they do. They're going to do it really well. And also, I think, like, for myself, facing his teams, like, they always had some of the best scouts against me. Like, you can tell how smart he is.
Yeah.
Like, he understands the game. He's coached against so many really good players. And, you know, there were games I would go into and, like, the scouts were just like, it was just like, come on. Like, why are you going under ball screens? Why are you in drop coverage? But, like, he just made it difficult.
That wasn't just flattery. It was a mix of frustration and respect. Whether it was different defensive strategies or elite defenders pressing her full court, Caitlin made it clear UConn never made it easy. He always had something in his back pocket, she said about Gino, and that made every game feel like a chess match.
You throw different defenders at me, and obviously having Nika Mule last year, like, she's probably one of the better defenders that I've faced. Like, she's just up in your grill. She'll pick you up 94 feet. Like, but then he just always has an answer, has different people. And I think that's one of the best things about him. Like, he has one game plan, but then he has something in his back pocket that he can go to. Yeah. And that's going to bother you again.
But it's not just the program Caitlin respects. It's the players, too. When asked about Paige Buchers, her tone shifted to one of admiration. Her poise, Caitlin said right away, that's something you need coming into the W. She praised Paige's calm, mature presence on the court, noting how nothing ever seems to
When you watch Paige play and you see her in the next level, what are the things that obviously she's going to take to the WNBA and it's going to translate instantly? And what are the things that, you know, it takes you a couple games to get used to?
I think her poise, like, that's something you need coming into the W. It, like, all hits you so fast. Is like, you're moving to a new city, you're trying to understand new teammates, you have a new coach, while you're trying to live up to all these expectations. And I think that's, like, one of the greatest things about her game is just her poise and her maturity, and nothing ever seems to faze her.
She can score at all 3 levels, Caitlin added, calling Paige's mid-range game some of the best she's ever seen. That's high praise coming from someone who's dominated at every level. But Caitlin didn't stop there. She also highlighted Paige's versatility, how she can play both point guard and off the ball. That'll be interesting next to our, Caitlin said, referring to how their styles could mesh.